Ms. Loh also told us that a few days after the 3rd of August, you had informed Mr. Singh, Ms. Lim, and Mr. Faisal Manap that the statements made on the 3rd of August were false.
Correct.
Can you describe that with some detail in relation to setting out the time frame, who was present, where these discussions took place, what was discussed, and whether there are any documentary evidence or papers which corroborate or substantiate these discussions? So take your time if you need to just compose yourself for a minute.
Thank you. So the first conversation I had that with any party leadership that the first time that I gave any sense that it was an untruth was on the 7th of August, and it was a short phone call, which then was followed by a meeting at Pritam Singh's house with the chair, Sylvia Lim, and vice chair, Faisal Manap.
So 7th of August, there was a short phone call only with Pritam Singh.
Yes.
When was this meeting?
It was a few days after. I'm sorry, but I really can't think of the date. But it was, I think it was the following Wednesday or Thursday.
So that would be what, 3-4 days later?
Yes.
Roughly.
Yes.
And you said at whose house again?
Pritam Singh's house.
Okay. And at this occasion, Ms. Lim and Mr. Manap were present.
Yes.
And did you put it in clear terms to them as well that the statement you had made was false?
Yes.
Could they have misunderstood?
No, they could not.
What was their reaction to this?
It was incredible disappointment. There was a lot of anger. But I think there was some compassion there as well. The reaction was that if I were not to be pressed, then the best thing to do would be to retain the narrative that I began in August.
Let me understand the last statement. You said if you were not going to be pressed and then you retain the narrative that you started in August.
Yes.
It means if you can get away with it, we don't have to clarify the lie, correct?
I think in the simplest terms, yes, you are correct.
And so the Workers' Party leadership who was present there, their initial reaction to being told that there was a lie or falsehood said in Parliament was to try and duck the issue if possible. And if it doesn't come up, then the truth need not be told eventually, correct?
I have to say, though, that Pritam Singh's initial response was that I should go to the Committee of Privileges. But after discussions and me explaining the circumstances that led me to the information in the first place, that changed.
So the upshot of the meeting a few days after the 7th of August was that the Workers' Party leadership decided that there will be no need to clarify the position. They will keep the lie in place, since if you're not pressed, there's no need to clarify the truth, correct?
Correct.